The Fight Caves are a rite of passage for every old school RuneScape player. The reward, the Fire Cape, was once the ultimate flex, showing off your skills as a top tier player. It's still insanely powerful and every player should unlock it. The good news, it's way more approachable now. Better gear and smarter strategies make your runs much more achievable. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to grab your first Fire Cape, with the minimum recommended gear and stats for first timers. As with my guides, we'll cut the crap and keep it simple. A quick heads up, this encounter is all about avoiding enemies with safe spots when possible, praying when you can't, and managing your resources effectively. Don't rush, patience is key. The caves are 63 waves of tough enemies, culminating in the big daddy himself, TzTok-Jad. First timers should expect to spend an hour or two, so keep a level head. The only hard requirement for the caves is 43 prayer. I'd also advise level 70 ranged as a minimum. We'll go through all the gear and potions required before we jump in, but you can get a full gear setup for 250k and more than enough supplies for a full run for 300k. Here's how we're going to learn. We're going to go through everything you need to know about the monsters that we're going to have to deal with. Then we'll talk about gear. Then we need to go through all of the essential safe spots. Finally, we'll bring it all together and talk about how to apply that knowledge with some examples on some of the key waves. We've got some extra tips and tricks at the end that you might find useful too. Let's start by getting familiar with the monsters you'll face in the order that they appear. First up, Tz-Kih, or bats as everyone calls them, easy to see why. They're only combat level 22, so you might think they're harmless, but you'd be wrong. Every attack drains your prayer, even if it hits a 0. Painful, yes, but it's manageable once you know what you're doing. Next is Ket-Zek, the blob, level 45. Looks weak, but he's got a recoil-like mechanic. Hit him with melee and he reflects 1 point of damage back. When he dies, he splits into 2 mini versions, but thankfully there's no recoil on those. The first real threat is Tok-Xil, the ranger. He uses ranged attacks, but step too close and he'll smack you with melee. He's your first enemy to pray against using protection from range. He's far from the most lethal enemy here though, so other enemies may have higher prayer priority if they're attacking you at the same time. Yt-MejKot, the healer, is next. His melee attacks hit hard, so pray against melee if you're too close. You should not be punching him anyway. Stay in the safe spots we're going to cover shortly. Damage him from within melee range and he heals himself and surrounding enemies, giving you double the incentive to keep your distance. Ket-Zek, the mage, is going to be your top prayer priority for the entire caves. He can hit 50s with both magic and melee attacks, so stay out of melee and keep protection from magic active whenever he's spawned in. Finally, the big man, the GOAT, the absolute unit, TzTok-Jad. This guy hits like a truck, one missed prayer and you are dead. He switches between melee, ranged and magic attacks. Stay out of melee and switch your prayers as he switches attacks. Don't forget, healers spawn when he hits half HP, so you have to manage them too. Hopefully you're a little bit familiar with the enemies now, so it won't be a total shock when they appear. You'll definitely need more info on dealing with them, but we'll cover that soon. You need to know about safe spots first. Before that, let's go over my minimum recommended gear setup for your first cape. For first timers, range is absolutely the best option, especially if you're on any kind of budget. For your weapon and ammo, my favourite budget option is the Sunlight Hunter's crossbow with Moonlight Antler bolts. This is a pretty slept on mid-game item. If you don't have this, maybe you're a dirty Iron Man. A rune crossbow and broad bolts or a magic shortbow with rune arrows should do. If you're lucky enough to have a toxic blowpipe, I'd actually avoid using it. Its range can catch you out at the wrong moment. You can bring it for its special attack though, for a little extra healing. I'd recommend bringing at least 2,000 ammo of whatever you decide to go with. Ruby bolts are also commonly recommended for Jad, but I don't like them for learners. These bolts hit the boss for a percentage of their total HP, sometimes letting you hit up to 100. But switching them in and out adds extra stress at the most intense parts of the caves. They're also unreliable. The chance to hit big is nice, but not consistent. Keep it simple, don't overcomplicate things. Let's go through the rest of the armour. I would stick with an archer helm, an amulet of glory, your best Ava's device, black dragonhide top and chaps, a book of lore, Barrow's gloves, mixed hide boots, and to be honest, anything in the ring slot costs way more than it's worth. If you've got an archer ring, use it, but don't worry if you don't. I didn't for this run. Make sensible upgrades if you have them. Swap that black dragonhide out for Karil's, God D-Hide, maybe you've used your mum's credit card and you've got a Bofor and full crystal. But remember, the caves are doable with the minimum setup that I've just shown you. So don't flap. People do this with way less. It's a test of mechanical knowledge and nerves, not a gear check. In your inventory, you'll want 1 ranging potion, 8 Saradomin brews, and fill the rest of your inventory with super restores. This will be more than enough to get you through the caves if you can get the hang of the mechanics. If this is your first cape, you might not know how brews and restores work. Brews heal you up, but reduce your stats. Super restores restore your stats and your prayer. You should drink 3 doses of Saradomin brew before 1 dose of super restore. If you drink less than 3 sips of brew, you are not making the most of your restores. If you're drinking more than 3, your stats won't be fully restored by 1 sip of restore. Now you're kitted out and ready to go, but before we jump into the caves, I'll show you my favourite safe spots for blocking off enemies so that you can range them down with as little risk as possible. You need to utilise safe spots at both Long Rock and Claw Rock. You can learn about the other safe spots from this little infographic on screen now, but for beginners, bouncing between these 2 safe spots is the most reliable method. 90% of the waves are about getting the healer stuck behind the safe spot. This way you can safely kill him and then move on to the other monsters whilst keeping protection from magic up if the major is alive. It's impossible to give you a safe spot for every eventuality, and if I tried to, it would be extremely overwhelming. But here's my tip. Start off at Long Rock. This gets most melee enemies stuck reliably. If they don't get stuck here, run to Claw Rock, and if they still don't get stuck, run back. This should get them stuck every single time. The next best thing is to get the healer stuck behind another enemy. The blob, ranger, the major, they're all viable candidates for this. In the waves with lots of ranged and magic enemies, it's okay to just ignore the safe spots and just keep up protection from magic up and DPS the ranger. As long as the healer's already dead or safe spotted, you should have plenty of spare brews. So heal up if you need to. Now we're ready to go through some key waves and put some of these mechanics into practice. Wave 1 starts with a single bat. These guys cannot be safe spotted, so you need to hit them and run away after every single hit so that they don't drain your prayer. Wave 2 is simply 2 of these, deal with them the same way. Wave 3 is your first blob. These can be safe spotted. This is a great place to test out moving between safe spots in a relatively relaxed environment. Stay by Long Rock, and if they spawn south of you and can't be safe spotted, run to Long Rock to test out that strategy we just talked about. You can also deal with them the same way you did for the Tz-Kih, kiting them around, or to be honest, you can just face tank them. After wave 3, you'll have a few rounds of dealing with multiple bats and blobs. Prioritise the bats. Prayer is an essential resource that you must conserve. Do not let the bats hit you. Wave 7 is your first ranger. Here, you'll want to start praying range to conserve your HP. There's nowhere to safe spot the ranger and deal damage to him at the same time, but you can get him stuck around different corners. This is useful to minimise the damage you receive and prayer drained whilst you're dealing with other enemies, as up until wave 13, you'll be dealing with different combos of rangers, blobs and bats. Wave 14 is the double ranger round. Protection from range is essential here. Wave 15 introduces healers into the mix. This is where those safe spots become crucial to your survival. In case you didn't listen the first time, camp Long Rock. If he gets stuck, great. Smash him down with ranged. If he doesn't, you'll want to put on protection from melee immediately until you are safely out of his melee range. Run to the safe spot on Claw Rock. He should get stuck. If not, run back. After wave 15, you'll be gradually introduced to more bats, blobs and eventually rangers again. Here's what you need to do. Get the melee stuck. If the melee's not stuck, pray stuck until he is. Pray range if the ranger is attacking you. Prioritise killing the bats and then kill whatever is stuck closest to you, then the ranger. This is where the fight really starts to ramp up, so if you die a couple of times at this stage whilst you're getting used to it, don't worry about it. Keep practicing, you'll learn a little bit each time. Wave 29 is quite intense, 1 healer, 2 rangers. It's crucial here that you get on protection from range as quickly as possible, so if the healer spawns and can't be safe spotted, get ready to run. Wave 30 is 2 healers, pray melee and get them both safe spotted. Easy wave. 31 is the first major. As soon as the previous round ends, get that protection from magic on. You'll want to keep it on for pretty much the entire rest of the fight caves. It definitely needs to be on at the start of every single round until the major is dead, unless he's stuck somewhere. The next waves until Jad work pretty much the same as the last batch of waves, but this time, here's how I would prioritise dealing with everything. Prey Mage, keep the healers safe spotted. If this means running around, then do so. If any bats are in range, get rid of them quickly. If the ranger can attack you, kill him next. If he's stuck, no worries. If the mage is stuck, then you can pray range and kill the ranger. Just remember to put on protection from magic before you move out of your safe spot. After this, everything else should be melee based and big enough to be safe spotted, so deal with the rest in any order that you choose. Wave 62 is double mages. It's basically free, just keep up protection from magic the whole time. There's an orange and a red one, kill the red one first. In the next wave, Jad will spawn in the same position as the orange one, so make sure to take a note of where he is. Before the wave finishes, make sure you're fully healed, restored, and take a sip of that ranging potion for some extra damage. Hopefully you're feeling ready. Try and stay calm. I still get nervous and I've got a fair few capes under my belt at this point. It's totally normal. Jad has two main mechanics, prayer switching and the healers. Let's get familiar with his magic and ranged attacks. You won't have to worry about melee because you're not dumb enough to get close enough to let him hit you with it. His ranged attack is a very quick stomp. As soon as you recognise the attack, you have to put your ranged prayer on. If you don't get it quickly enough, you'll take damage. It has to be on before the debris starts falling from the sky. For the mage attack, you'll notice he stays up on his hind legs just a little bit longer, then shoots a fireball. You'll have to have protection from magic on before the fireball leaves his mouth. A great tip is to try and recognise the audio cues. This is obviously hard to describe, but listen in. Other than that, for the first half of the fight, just keep damaging him down. Keeping the correct prayer up is always your #1 priority. Then you should worry about how many prayer points you have remaining, then if you need to sip a brew and heal up. Only then should you be worrying about if you're damaging him. You can't deal damage if you're dead. Once he gets to half HP, you have to deal with the healers. The easiest way to deal with these guys is to hit one, put the correct prayer on for Jad, then hit the next one, then put the next prayer on. Keep repeating that until they're all attacking you. Once they're all on you can attack one and just watch your prayers whilst he dies. Once he dies, attack another and another and another until they're all dead. Always make sure to prioritise the correct prayer. If you get your attacks on early, you should be able to stack them up so you only have to deal with 1 or 2 healers attacking you at once. And sometimes they just get stuck elsewhere in the arena. If you are super tanky, it's also an option to get all of the healers on you and just keep damaging Jad. You do need to get the healers aggroed on you though and away from Jad, as if they heal him to full, they'll respawn once he gets to half HP again. There are some more advanced mechanics for getting the healers to a safe spot or getting their aggro and getting them stuck behind Jad by running through him. But on a first cape, that's a lot to think about and it's probably going to get you killed. Once you've dealt with the healers, you just repeat the first half of the fight all over again. Just damage him down till he's at 0 and congratulations, you're now the proud owner of a fire cape. Before we finish up, some extra tips. There are loads of plugins that can help you with the fight caves. You can use ground markers like I have here to mark up your safe spots. Fight cave waves to tell you about what's up next. And even things like Fight Cave Spawn Predictor to work out exactly where enemies are going to spawn in. Personally, I think all of this is a bit excessive for a beginner, but if you are having trouble and want to play around with some plugins for a little extra boost, it can be worth looking into. If you just want an extra DPS boost, you can get a Tazar Slayer task from Duradel, Neve or Cheldar. You get the option to swap this for a Jad task, which allows you to use the massive 15% boost to range, accuracy and damage from the Slayer Helm. Check out the Discord if you want any more help after watching this guide. It's linked in the channel description. We've got an awesome little community, so come get involved. I'm also on Twitch if you want to stop by and say hi next time I'm live. I love chatting to new people and seeing familiar faces, so don't be shy. As always, a massive shout out to my channel members and Twitch subscribers. Your support means the world to me. You're all absolute legends. I honestly can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you next time.